share with you what Galatians says about measuring up. 4. I dig this. I dig that God wrote this stuff so I can understand it. Here's what it says. Am I trying to win the approval of men or God? Am I seeking to please people? If I were still seeking to please people, I would not be a slave of Christ. That's pretty straightforward. Like, is it him or them? He thinks you're something. But you got to know that. He thinks you're all that in a bag of chips. And there's nothing that any human being walking the face of this earth can tell you that will sustain you in believing that for the long haul. Just ask anybody who has to talk to me the day before I have to stand before you. Is it not exhausting being my friend? I'm the same person who doesn't return any of your calls, but I'm on the texting, pray for me, pray for me. They're like, who's this girl who never returned my calls for 2 months? I am the most hysterical, needy, insecure, full of fear broad you ever met. Fact. And anyone here who knows me could give me a show of hands. True? Yes or yes? But I'm a lot better than I was. Yes or yes? See, I needed affirmation again. Oh my gosh. All right, so we're done pleasing people today. But that's it. We're going to say enough of that. No more. But I really know this. When I am full in the Spirit, really, and I know we've all had that experience where you're just operating out of this love. You just know the love of God and there's no denying it. There's nothing that can happen. No circumstance, no situation, no conversation that rocks your world. It's okay if it's not a good thing. It's okay if it brings pain. It's okay if you don't know how you're going to live for one more day. But if you know this love of God, then there's something about that peace that surpasses understanding that He promised us. He promises it if you just trust Him. And He says, you can't measure my love. Like, quit trying to. You can't measure it. And you got to pucker up and kiss all that icky stuff goodbye for the last time. And it takes a lifetime to do this, as you know. So you just pick one thing at a time that you try to say goodbye to. I did that with people. Like, I'm done with you, I'm done with you. I did, like that. I learned that. That was an inherited trait. My grandmother I think it started with my great-grandmother, like, we're done with them. Oh, okay. Like, and then they never referred to that person ever again in our life. It was like, they're dead to me. It was like, well, that's kind and life-giving. Let's go to Mass. And we would do that. Like, we really would do that. And, you know, I don't think it seemed demented at the time, but that's what I thought you did. Like, people don't live up to your expectations. They don't meet your needs. Like, you just kick them to the curb. I cannot tell you how many times I used the word divorce in my first year of marriage. Like, to me, it was like, well, then let's just get divorced. He was like, that really wasn't an option. And then 10 years later, when we were in therapy, the counselor's like, you know, this thing with the divorce, like, you gotta let it die. That's why we can't eat enough. We can't starve enough. We can't diet enough. We can't work enough. We can't sleep enough. We can't volunteer enough. We can't watch TV enough. We can't be, we can't do, we can't earn enough. I know today that I am as filled as I am yielded to the Holy Spirit. That's it, and that's all. And I got to stand before Him, and on any given day when I do this, and I throw out some of this, pouring it out. Pouring out my confessions, pouring out my concerns, pouring out every single thing that isn't of Him. Everything. My daughter Kennedy helped me make these, and I said to her, here's what I wrote. Here's what she wrote for me. Insecurity. I gave her these things. Pride, judgment, insecurity, intolerance, lust, self-pity, criticism, fear, unforgiveness. And she knows how insecure I am, which is why she put a note in there that said, You're doing great. I love you, Mom. I said to her, Ken, do you agree with those things about your mom? And she said, well, some of them I don't understand. What's self-pity? And I told her, and she goes, you got to work on that. A lot. A real lot. And you know, there was a time where I could not accept that. I could not accept someone saying that about me. It was always about what you weren't. It was never about me changing. It was always about you. And now I can stand in front of my kids and I can say, you know, I got all this stuff. And no matter what I do for them, they're going to grow up and they're going to have some stuff. But they are going to know what I didn't. And they are going to know that they can pour it out before a God who loves them with a measureless love, no matter what. And he's going to say it's okay, always okay. And they are going to not operate like their mother out of that. Little drips and drabs of, got a little love. So, oh, that was really bad. I know when I'm filled like this, it is about something other than me and my stuff. My fear, my insecurity, my criticism, my judgment, my expectations of you that weren't met. But see, nothing can go in unless all that stuff comes out. That takes work. For some of us, it takes way more work than others. I want my kids to know that before they're 43. And I'm thinking my daughter Campbell does, because this is what I found in her. Okay, I don't know what my kids are doing in the bathroom. But I found this yesterday, and Campbell's like, where's my scroll? I'm like, I'm using it as a prop. I'll bring it back. Here's what Campbell writes. Try your best at everything. Always pray if you need something. Talk to God or your grandparents. Or someone who lives with you. And the ending of her scroll is, love God as long as you live. Never lie. Never stop loving God. Not ever. Not ever.